Okay, good afternoon นะครับ everyone. How are you today? Okay, nice to know that ครับ Jirayu that you are good นะครับ I hope that the rest of you are good too. So actually I want to go to the beach but I can't because I've been so busy. So just use the virtual background as a beach for that should be great for me นะครับ Okay, good morning นภัส now yeah okay still good afternoon anyway yeah okay so that means นภัส you just wake up right okay. Not good who said that it's not good Sujina what's going on you have a lot of work during this couple of weeks or just had a quiz what subject did you have for the quiz mess up so bad oh no optimization okay then should we have the quiz too today as well is it good okay so no I don't have the pop quiz okay don't worry if we need to have the quiz I'll let you know heyนะครับ okay all right so today we are going Philip will cry so Philip please turn on your camera and microphone and cry นะครับ you shouldn't cry by yourself because you have like every of us are with you anyway okay by the way นะครับ we have to start today's class with the presentation of the modules to case study first นะครับ and then I'll continue talking about the rest of module 3 นะครับ that are just like review of the technology that you normally knows about them already that we have to just like use this kind of technical term in the next chapter นะครับ okay right so when I sent you the line message this morning นะครับ so not this morning just like 20 minutes ago Tantita นะครับ and her team will be the volunteer to present first นะครับ all right so let's begin the presentation of modules 2 ครับ so that we have time for the rest of you to stop crying นะครับ okay
should I open my camera?
Yes, please. So in the future, if you have to pitch on some project and while you are presenter, if it's online, it's the good idea to turn on your camera นะครับ so that all the audience นะครับ will see who is talking นะครับ okay ครับ you may start ครับ
Good afternoon, Ajahn and friends. So our group has 3 people, Thandita, Sujina, and Nanisha. Today we are going to present a case study about Twitter. And first, let's talk about the summary. Twitter basic functions are to share ideas in short messages, which is limited to 140 characters per tweet, as well as create social groups. Twitter actually started operating from not receiving any revenue. Later on, Twitter has extended its performance from a simple text to article previews, photographs, videos, and animated images. By using Twitter, people can view the real-time comments and use their search tool to find the tweet they are looking for easily. Moreover, Twitter is also a popular application for the distribution of news, photos, and videos. As of June 2016, Twitter has grown from 5,000 tweets per day to 6,000 tweets per second, or around 500 million per day and has over 310 million active accounts worldwide. Twitter provides three primary advertising options: promoted tweets, promoted trends, and promoted accounts. Firstly, promoted tweets are quite similar to Google's search ads, where promoted tweets can appear when users search results and are related to the topic. For example, if a user searches for a tablet, a Best Buy promoted tweet about tablet might appear. According to Twitter research, the users appear to engage with ads from promoted tweets more than traditional online ads. Secondly, promoted trends allows users to follow what others are talking about. It is located on the home page. A company must pay a flat fee for an entire market for a day in order to get the promoted trend. The banner at the top of the trend section will redirect the user to the follower page of that purchase company. And lastly, based on the list of accounts that an individual already followed, promoted accounts will recommend the user to follow a variety of advertiser accounts, which can be geo-targeted at both country level and as well as the local level. Promoted accounts are appraised on a cost per follower basis, but only the new followers gained are taken into account.
Furthermore, mobile is an important source of most of its revenue and a primary driver for the business. When Twitter began testing promoted tweets and promoted accounts in March 2012, it gained its revenue from ads on mobile devices more than on Twitter's websites. About 80% of Twitter's revenue is likely to come from selling advertisements on their mobile application. Unfortunately, Twitter still has to face some difficulties. There was research which mentioned that most of the tweets are created by a minority of the users. This is a problem for Twitter because they only gain their revenue when users engage with the advertisement they provided. Another problem that Twitter needs to face is known as a user retention. It seems like there is only 11% of users who created their account since 2012 that are still tweeting. They noticed that the main problem which makes people stop tweeting is that using Twitter is more complicated compared to Facebook.
So for the case study question, what is a business model and how can you tell if a firm business model is going to produce a profit? A business model, sometimes referred to as business processes, is a set of planning activity designed to result in a profit in a marketplace. In other words, it is a company plan for making a profit. It is crucial for an establishment of a company to ensure that its business can proceed properly. If a firm wants to develop a successful business model, they should make sure that the business model should include the 8 key elements. There are 8 elements of a business model.
So the first one is value proposition, to make sure that the product or services the company provides will fulfill the needs of the customers. Revenue model defines how firm will earn revenue. Market opportunity, company's intended market space and their size. Competitive environment, competitors who are also intended for the same market space. Competitive advantage, the special benefit that the company can bring to the market space. Market strategy, describes how company intend to enter the market and attract the customers. Organizational development details about how the company will organize the work. And the last one is management team, which all staff of the company should cooperate in order to make the business model work.
We set goals and objectives in the business, and the business model should ensure that we could achieve our goal. However, businesses have to review their business model and further develop or reinvent them from time to time, as our goal could be changed as well. Without these 8 key elements, we would not be able to make an efficient business model and generate revenue. Thank you.
Thank you ค่ะ
Okay, thank you นะครับ for for the first team by Nat Nisha, Sujina and Tantita นะครับ so are there any other volunteers or otherwise yeah,
Shall we go next?
yes please.
Okay. Let me just share.
Atiwat and Nat Nisha, hang on,
It's Atiwat and Rinratipon.
and Rin Radipon. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Let me just share the screen for a moment. Okay.
So the presenter, please turn on the camera too นะครับ
Oh yes. Okay. So yeah, you can start when.
Okay, so the case summary is about Twitter, which is a social network based on 140 character text messages. And the basic idea is that it is to marry short text messaging on cell phone within the web and its ability to create social groups. Some celebrities such as Katy Perry have like millions of followers, and it actually began operating without any revenue. But it developed some assets such as like user attention, audience size, and database of tweets, which contain real-time comments, observations, opinion of its audience, and a search engine, and they can sell it later. And the 3 of the primary advertising options are promoted tweets, which is Google search ads, and promoted trends or advertising products, and promoted accounts. It is like to suggestion on who to follow or what to follow, and where like businesses would pay in for their ads to be displayed in the platform. Although it continues to develop more and more variation on these products such as video ads. Later on, mobile seemed to be the main source of revenue with over 80% of its advertising revenue. And analysis have suggest that it has like serious concern about the lack of profitability and anemic growth rate. Research indicate that the vast majority of tweets are generated by a small percentage of users. Study actually found that only 15% of users account for 85% of all tweets. This is problematic because Twitter only makes money when people engage in ads. And another study actually had found that Twitter had only 40% of retention rate and 60% of users failed to return the following month. This illustrates how important it is to have a solid business model and solid plan to generate revenue, and that a large user base doesn't actually mean that you will make profit out of it. Next is short answer.
Okay, so for the short answer part, the question is basically what is a business model and how are you going to know that the business is going to make a profit of it? So first off, the business model is, if you go by definitions, is a company's core strategy to reach profit. It helps the company to identify the cost structure, its revenue stream, and the profit of whatever it's going to do. But the simple way to look at it is that it's basically a plan of how a company is going to make a profit. Because a company's real purpose for almost every company is to make some sort of money, to make some sort of profit for the work that they do. So now they need some sort of business model because the way that each company earns money is different from one another. You can have a advertising revenue stream where you have a mass user base and you make money off other businesses advertising on your platform, or you can have a subscription model where you provide some sort of service or you provide some sort of goods, and then your user have to pay a certain amount for during a certain period of time to use the services. So there are different ways for you to generate profits depending on each model. But now coming to the part of how you're going to know that whether a company is going to make a profit or not, this is a bit of a difficult part because if you look at it from the lens of an investor, for example, you want to know which company is going to give profit because by that, as an investor, you're going to earn money in the process. But the thing is that it comes to a lot of different factors that is not something that you can easily determine. You can have a business model, you can have a standard business model, but if your management is not good, if your premise is not good, but if your management, marketing, and several other factors fail at its job, it is also possible that even if you have an excellent business model, your company is still not going to be able to execute it. Or if your company may have an excellent product and have the ability to attract a lot of people, but your business model is flawed in the first place, then you also will also fail to make profit. An example of this that we can see from the example of Twitter is how it is, if you look at it, it's basically get a lot of its money from advertising revenue model. That is, it is a free application and a lot of people come in to use it. It's been reported like 1 billion people come making an account on Twitter and using it on its platform, and this attracts the other companies to come in and try to talk to Twitter, and Twitter puts the advertisement of those companies up on Twitter, up on the platform for people to see, and these companies in turn pay Twitter. And even though that sounds like a very good business model and sounds like what a standard advertising revenue should be able to accomplish, we have also seen in the in the summary that we have given you earlier that Twitter actually, that the research show that only a small fraction of the people are actually tweeting. And in this case, the businesses also would be reluctant, would be less hesitant to actually invest their money in and put the ads on Twitter because now they see that it's not less people, right? And with the lots of money that we have seen from Twitter as well, it's like, you know that just because you have a business model, it doesn't necessarily going to give you profit. And even if you have a good business model, it also doesn't mean that you're going to make money. So in the end, it's come to the premises. You need to get everything right for you to be able to make profits. And that is our short answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you ครับ for Apiwat and Rin Radipon's team นะครับ So are there any other volunteers after this team?
We can go ครับอาจารย์
Okay ครับ Philip ครับ please go ahead. So Philip, your team has you yourself, Pongsakorn, right?
yes ครับ
And anybody else?
ไม่มี
No, right? Just two of you.
yeah
Okay, yeah, you can start ครับ
ดูแชร์ให้หน่อย
แป๊บนึงนะเห็นปะ
Yep.
โอเค
Okay, so to begin with our summary, Twitter is a microblogging and social networking service on which users post interact with messages known as tweets. Since its launch in 2006, average only about 5,000 posts per day, and now today we have about 500 million per day. Twitter has since expanded beyond simple text messages to article previews, paragraph, videos, and even animated images, and over 310 million active users worldwide. Twitter started with no revenue streams. However, it quickly developed assets such as users' attention and unique visitors. Also, they contain database of tweets with data of audiences, real-time comments, observation, and opinions. It also provides a search engine which looks for tweets using patterns. Twitter evolved to be a powerful tool for distributing news, videos, and pictures. Those assets will be used to their future revenue, which will be mentioned later on. Twitter has started to monetize its platform via 3 primary advertising options: promoted tweets, promoted trends, promoted accounts. Although it continues to develop more and more variation of these products. Starting with promoted tweets, they said that it's similar to Google search ads. This type of advertising has cost range from 20 cents to $10. It comes with geo-targeted. It's a feature that you can advertise using some specific areas of people, and keyword targeting function, which will advertise people based on their preference shows on their Twitter activity. Next up is promoted accounts. On Twitter, there's a trend section showing what people are currently talking about at the time. Companies can use these features to place their banners on this section. The user will be redirected to the company's follower page when clicking on the banner. The banner is purchased for an entire market for a day. The fee for using this feature is currently around $200,000 from $80,000 in 2010. The last option for advertising is promoted accounts. This feature will suggest a number of advertisers' account to user base on their following activities. Same as promoted tweets, this feature is capable of doing geo-targeting. Promoted accounts use a cost per follower model, which advertiser will only be paying for the number of followers gained. The cost of this option varies from $0.5 to $2.5. Moreover, Twitter also provides enhanced profile page for brands. This will grant the ability to have their own banner for images and to pin tweet on top of the company Twitter stream. This costs around $15,000 to $25,000.
And here are the main 3 issues and concerns for the Twitter company, according to the analysis. The first one is Twitter lack of profitability and anemic growth rate. It is said that only 20% of US internet user uses Twitter, and the vast majority of its user, almost 80% of users in Twitter, are located outside the US. Even though US is the main source of over 50% of its ad revenue. The second issue is user engagement. It is said that only 50% of the user are responsible for 85% of all the tweets. This is supposed to be a big problem because Twitter make money when user engage with the tweets and ad. And the last one is user retention. It said that Twitter has only 40% retention rate, meaning that 60% of users fail to return after a following month. Despite the CEO trying to reshuffle and it restruck the Twitter bot and reducing workforce, Twitter has yet to reverse its problem and fix the growth problem. It is clear that Twitter has not yet found a business model that works according to the reading.
Okay. So for the case study questions, the first question is, what is a business model? Based on the definition, business model is a set of planned activities designed to result in a profit in a marketplace. It consists of 8 elements: value proposition, revenue model, market opportunity, competitive environment, competitive advantage, market strategy, organizational development, and management team. So how do we define a firm business model is going to produce a profit? To determine whether a business model will produce profit or not, we ensure that these 8 elements must be performed and decided based on their business does and should suit business the most. The knowledge about these 8 elements are proven to be crucial to obtain a successful model. In other words, if the business can meet all of the optimal approach of these 8 elements, it should be producing profit. First off, we have value proposition. This is where the company are desired to meet customers' needs and wants, know what feature will improve their users' experience, and try to meet that expectation. Second one is organization development. This one, the company should be focusing on making the staff, their workers, and overall organization better. Market opportunity, utilizing the area which the business goes to and being able to seize opportunities that come along, the ability to make customer willing to purchase the product. Competitive environment, knowing your competitors, both direct and indirect, which may affect your sales performance and income. Self-aware of which marketplace the business is joining. Examples of competitors are Netflix and Disney Plus, Spotify and Tidal. These are the direct competitors. The indirect competitors are Nike, Sportwear, and Converse. And in this case study, Twitter has any other social medias that are their direct competitors. Competitive advantage, superior aspect that we can offer over the competitors. Important concepts are asymmetric first mover advantage, complementary resources, unfair competitive advantage, average market, average perfect market. For instance, food delivery company could provide more efficiency of delivering or better price of promotion. Next up is revenue model.
Revenue model. Especially you choose a revenue model that suit the business. For example, if you are Netflix or Spotify, you would want to choose subscription revenue. In this case, Twitter and Facebook should choose advertisement revenue, and so far. The next is management team. Business must both consist of good business structure and must have an organizational structure. Basically assign employees into group based on their role and to be able to distinguish their jobs and assign them properly so that the workflow is smooth. And the last one is market strategy. Knowing how to attract customer to gain their attention. Example of doing this is Netflix, offering a free trial to people to watch and subscribe. This strategy has been done before by YouTube Premium, Twitch, and other as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you นะครับ so the next team goes to Napat team.
Oh, okay. It's my team's turn. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Napat, and today we're going to present about Twitter's. So for starter, we're going to go through the summary of the story in the case study.
Okay, so Twitter is a social media site that allows users to post, which is called tweets in Twitter. It allows users to post a short text message within 140 characters. And from the record in June 2016, there were more than 310 million end users from around the world. At the very beginning, Twitter ran the business without profit. However, it began to become a well-known social platform after that, and the users were allowed to tweet the pictures and videos aside from the text messages. The main income of Twitter comes from advertising, and there are 3 types of it, including promoted tweets, promoted trends, and promoted accounts. Promoted tweets can be easily described as Google search ads in Twitter. This type of advertising allows the advertisers to choose which user they want to send the promoted tweets. And next is promoted trends. Promoted trends are the way that the advertisers will place the ads on the trend page. And when any user clicks on the ads, it will lead them to the website of the advertiser's company. The last type of advertising in Twitter is promoted accounts. It is to suggest the users the account of advertisers based on the list of accounts that they are following.
Okay, afterwards, Twitter made a lot of progress on that technology. For example, in 2013, Twitter began video ad market. Now video clips can now act as an advertisement. Also, this technology is also known as Twitter Amplify program, which include big media partners such as CNN and ESPN. Also, in the same year, the company allowed marketers to promote their TV shows in promoted tweet and trends. If you have used Twitter before, then you see a lot of it. Later on, the promote videos built on the Amplify program was used to link to as a direct link to app installation when you tap on it. The primary driver of Twitter business and the source of revenue is on the mobile platform, which promoted tweet and accounts were launched in. The company currently derives 80% of its advertising revenue from mobile platform. Also, Twitter first went public in November 2013 with a valuation about around 14 billion US dollar from private investor and venture capital firms, despite the fact at that time it had not generated profit yet. As of 2016, analysts have shown serious concern about Twitter's lack of profitability and growth rate. Only 20% of the US internet users use Twitter compared to over 60% that use Facebook. And the majority of Twitter's users are outside US, although US is the source of over 50% of its ad revenues. Other issue is user engagement. Research shows that the vast amount of tweets are generated by only a small percentage of users. One study showed that only the top 15% users are responsible for almost 85% of all tweets. If you can use Twitter, you will see a lot of copy and paste tweet and post and retweet, and all of that are generated by bots. This is problematic because Twitter only makes money when users engage with an ad. And what if most of the tweets are generated from bots? Most of the users are not gonna find an ad on that.
Twitter realized that people find the application more confusing compared to Facebook. So with Dorsey, the new CEO in charge, Twitter made a few changes such as launching moments, which are tweets packaged into groups that are easier to follow. They also relaxed the 140 words limits rule on some types of their contents. But analysts argue that these moves are merely cosmetics. Twitter's tried to follow on their core services, which is why their side services does not work with the app, like the buy now button and the music app, and so on. In 2016, Twitter purchased the right to stream NFL, which could keep users on their site longer. But despite all the efforts, Twitter had not yet reversed to its glorious day to earn a significant amount. Shortly after, Twitter reported yet another loss for the third quarter of the year. It's very clear that Twitter has not yet found a business model that works with them. To answer the case study question, what is a business model? A business model is the outline of a strategy and plan of a company in order for them to gain profit in a specific market of the customer. In simple terms, it is a plan of marketing to earn profit. And how can we tell if a firm's business model is gonna produce a profit? First, let's talk about the 8 key elements of a business model. Businesses that follow these guidelines and work accordingly is more likely to be successful, hence make more profit. And here's the simple summary of what the key elements in the business model represents. First one is value proposition. What can you give to the customer? Give them a reason to buy goods and or services from you. Second one is revenue model. Know how the company will earn revenue to produce profits from what type of revenue, whether it be advertising revenue, sales revenue model, and so on. Next one is market opportunity. You have to know your market and know which market you're going into. Another one is competitive environment. Know and be aware of your direct and indirect competitors in the same market space that you chose to put your company in. Next one is the competitive advantage. You have to find what you bring more to the table compared to your direct and indirect competitors, whether it be the quality of the product or the price of the product or services that you serve. Next one is the market strategy. You have to plan effective ways to promote your products and attract customer, whether it be to give free samples, promotions, and many more. Next one is organization development. You've got to have the team that is needed to carry the business plan. And the last but not least is management team. You have to have an adequate management team that will suit the company's vision.
So next up, we're gonna look into which element did Twitter fail to consider or have a problem with. I think is, from my opinion, in my opinion, is market opportunity and competitive environment. First in market opportunity, I think that over 80% of Twitter users are located outside of US, but however, over 50% of its ad revenue come from US. Therefore, Twitter's main target marketers are from US, while failing to notice or ignoring their larger markets outside US. By not expanding worldwide, it fails to attract more investors and ignore a large source of income. Next, the competitive environment. Twitter in the United States, there are many technology and new applications that are being developed every day. Twitter struggles to keep up with bigger platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and even its most recent competitor, TikTok. While other social media platforms are focused on providing entertainment to their users, Twitter succeeds as the most modern new platform instead, which is why it is perceived to be harder to use. With more competitive on mobile platform, Twitter is perceived to be harder to use than many platforms. For example, in TikTok, you can just swipe and then you get more content, while in Twitter, you have to follow a trend or search for anything that you search for a hashtag that you want to follow. Next up.
And the last thing that we want to say will be additional aspect to consider if the business model will produce profit. The first one is that the business model should create values for its customer and for itself. The business model should make sense or realistic in terms of the numbers, such as the profit. We should not underestimate the cost of funding, like we have to count the cost until it makes profit. And one way to evaluate the success of business model is to look at the gross profit, which is total revenue minus the cost of goods sold, and then compare with its main competitors. And it should be profitability, scalability, repeatability, and flexibility. Thank you.
Okay, that's it for our presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Kap. And now let's move on to the last team, Kap. That is from Harvey, Shakira, and Nataka, Kap.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our group members are Shakira, Hassanuddin, and Natakan.
Twitter follows a long line of internet innovations that have sprung out of nowhere. The core concept behind Twitter was to combine quick messaging on mobile phones with web capacity to construct social group. With over 310 million active users globally, Twitter has evolved to include articles, preview, pictures, videos, and even animated images. It has increased from 5,000 tweets per day in 2006 to 500 million tweets per day globally as of June 2016. The Super Bowl, for example, is known for generating a flood of Twitter activity with 28.4 million tweets generated during the game in 2015. Twitter had no revenue when it first launched. However, it was able to quickly gain several significant assets. Another useful feature is its Twitter database, which contains real-time comments, observations, and perspectives from its audience, as well as a search engine that can mine those tweets to trends. Twitter has attempted to monetize its platform through three main advertising options. Promoted tweets is the first advertising option that is Twitter's counterpart of Google Search Ad. A Best Buy promoted tweets regarding tablets would appear in response to a Twitter search for tablet computers. For example, advertisers can send promoted tweets to specific people in specific places or based on their Twitter activity using Twitter geo-targeted and keyword targeting features. According to Twitter's research, people are considerably more likely to engage with promoted tweets than with traditional web ads.
The second advertising product is the promoted trend. Twitter categorizes users' tweets in the form of trends, in which a company can add a promoted trend under those trends to advertise their products or services. A promoted trend must be purchased for an entire market for a day for a flat fee. Next, the third advertising product is the promoted accounts. Here, Twitter suggests promoted account based on the user's following accounts list. Promoted account can be geo-targeted at both the country level and the local level. Promoted accounts are priced on a cost per follower basis, with advertisers only paying for new followers gained. In 2013, Twitter joined the video ads market. Twitter Amplify program, where video ads can be embedded in the tweets. Other than Twitter, also launched a television ad targeting product that allow marketers to show promoted tweets to people who are about a television show. In 2014, promoted video, which allows advertisers to distribute videos, was introduced and developed in 2015 to link directed to app installation, as well as an ad purchasing feature for videos called optimized action bidding. This allows marketers to customize ad purchase to improve their returns on investment. Moreover, Twitter's primary business driver is a mobile application and the main source of its revenue. In June 2012, Twitter tested their advertising product mentioned before in their mobile application, which leads to an increase in revenue compared to that of the website. Twitter is still expanding its data mining capability because it is a valuable asset to the market and cooperating with a big data company to help it improve its ability to provide information about its users' behavior.
After Twitter went public in 2013, it became a success with a valuation of $14 billion. However, due to the lack of profit and growth, its share price decreased drastically. Analysts believe that it is due to the lack of the US users as well as the user engagement. Only 15% of the user contribute to 85% of all the tweets. This means only a few users engage in advertisement. Retention rate is also another problem, with only 11% of the accounts created in 2012 are still active. Twitter believes that one of the problems is because of it is more confusing to use and compared to Facebook. So they decided to launch a feature Moments, which group tweets into theme for which is easier to read. And they will also allow users to type more than 140 characters. They also suggest topics for users who have been away. However, analysts believe this not relate to the problem. They also remove the feature that doesn't gain popularity, such as the buy now button and the music app. Now Twitter is focusing on video capability, and in 2016, they gained the right to stream the Thursday night NFL game. Despite all these changes, Twitter has yet to improve its earning and growth. This indicates that Twitter still cannot find the right business model.
Answering the short question, a business model is a set of planned activities designed to result in a profit in a marketplace. In the case of e-commerce, it is a business model that includes the use of internet and the web. To tell how a firm business model is going to produce a profit is from the 8 key element of business model mentioned in class. First one is the value proposition, revenue model, market opportunity, competitive environment, competitive advantage, market strategy, organizational development, and management team. That's it for our presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the last team, and thanks for every team for your presentation on case study number 2. So the next thing that we are going to continue is about, okay, hang on. So Sujina, submit it now. I still open it for you because I see that there's some team who hasn't submitted. Just do it now. Okay, so now let me just continue talking about the hang on, slide about the infrastructure of the internet that we have to use to support our e-commerce. Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay, on the last time we talked about the internet network architecture that we have to use in order to just communicate among buyers and sellers. So today the next thing that I have to talk about is about the ISP. Just want to be long. For the ISP, or internet service providers. This group of people or the companies here they provide lowest level of service to individual, small business, and also some institutions. There are a couple of types of services that ISP provided that are narrowband or the dial-up. Right now, I think for many countries, the narrowband was just canceled already. Now we have just the broadband that we may use the DSL cable modem. T1 and T3 or satellite for the broadband connection. And apart from the internet service, when you would like to communicate inside the same organization, we may use the intranet instead of the internet. For the intranet in here, this is the TCP/IP network as well, but this network located in a single organizations for communicate among members in the organization and processing. For the intranet, normally it may be used by private and government organizations for internal networks, including in MU as well. We use the intranets as well, especially when students and faculty members and staff would like to just see the resources that we have in Mahidol's internally. For example, for electronic books นะครับ from the library นะครับ that we allow just only the members of Mahidol University to use those kind of resources. Then we have to use the intranet to control. And all internet applications can be used in the private intranets as well. So it means that if your organization would like to have like some software to be used inside your organization, you may be able to use it. For example, if you have the enterprise resource planning software that you have to use with your e-commerce to see the resources that you have, to plan for the resource that you have, including the money that you get from the customers, the bills that you have to pay to your suppliers, and the sales and production plan. If you say that, okay, normally it's on the cloud, on the internet, you can just like make it to become the private one as the intranet as well. Depends on our setting. The next one, when we talk about the people or the organization that governs the internet, who govern them, organization that influence the internet and monitor the operations, but they cannot control, they just governs and monitor the operations only. They are the first one, ICANN, or Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. This organization is the very first organization in the world, setting up by US. It's it's from Ministry of Commerce in US, set up this organization in order to help governing and monitoring the usage of the internet in different kind of organizations. This is ICANN. Okay. The next one, Internet Assigned Numbers Authority, Internet Engineering Task Force, Internet Research Task Force, Internet Engineering Steering Group, Internet Architecture Board, Internet Society, Internet Governance Forum, World Wide Web Consortium, and Internet Network Operators Group. These organizations try to influence the internet usage around the world. So apart from the organization that monitoring and influencing the usage of the internet around the world, each country has its own regulation and surveillance by the government. For example, some of the website is banned in specific country. So that means, suppose we are talking about like some countries, for example, if we are talking about like China, some of the website, for example, if they say that, okay, they don't allow the people who live in China to use YouTube, but they allow people to use like other website instead, something like that. This one, it depends on each country. For example, in Thailand, some websites are banned as well. For example, Pornhub, let's see. So in that kind of website, if the government say that they banned, that means if you would like to, for example, if that website is your own website, is your website that you set it up to sell the products or services, in terms of e-commerce to your customer, that means in that country, you may not be able to do that. Then you have to change your strategy instead. That okay, your target customer might have to be changed in that case. How is it possible for any government to control the censor of the web? You can see that for this question, some country they can do, but many of the countries, they don't do it. They say that it's the freedom of like the people in their country to access that website, except if that website is like about the way that make that country to be like some problem, they may have to control or censor that web. Does the Chinese government or the US government have the right to censor the content on the web? It depends on the country. Normally for the US, because of the freedom of the people, they don't censor the content on the web, but they just have the warning only that okay, you should suggest, like they have the rating for that web. But for Chinese government, some website they just like censor They say that it's the right of the government to censor that web. How should US companies deal with governments that want to censor that content? In this one, you have to think about it as well. If you run a business for a while, and the country that you think that okay, most of your customers are there, and they access the website from that country, and if the government say that they will ban this kind of website, how can you do? You have to just like know how to deal with the government. And what should happen to e-commerce if the existing web split into different web for each country? In this one, you have to think as well. For example, if you say that, okay, different country, if you would like to sell the same products or services, but some countries, they don't allow you to use that name as a website, then you may have to you have to register for another web name instead. And apart from that one, the content inside as well, the stock of the product as well. If you want to have like different websites from different countries, but all of them are still linked to the same stock, or in the same inventory, you have to just like, you need to have the control of that stock centrally as well. So then you have to think about this. For my suggestion, if you want to make it easy, you have to use a software that is what it calls enterprise. Enterprise software. They call it as enterprise software. So that means they will treat different websites as different, different shop or different stores of you, but it's under the same company. Let's imagine that if you own central department store, and you have like you have different branches, but you say that okay, you have the central inventory. For example, if you're talking about like electric fan, let's say electric fans, you may say that okay, you have the central stock for 500 pieces. You distribute 200 pieces to branch A, 100 to branch B, and so on. And then you still have the central stock for, let's say, 50 of them. If branch A is out of stock, they can check the stock that okay, in the central inventory we still have 50. You may just transfer that stock to branch A. But once you say that I want 30 fans in branch A, that means once branch A want 30, you have to just like hold the stock for 30 items. That means if other branches want to have like that stock, they have to see that we have just like 20 items left only, because branch A occupied 30 of them already. So in this one, it's the same as when you have like different webs in each country, and you have the central stock, you need to control it. If you say that I don't want to use the enterprise software, then you have to write down the programs in order to control the data in the database as well. Because if branch A reserved for 30 fans already, and it waits until tomorrow so that we can deliver those 30 fans to branch A, you can see that today afternoon, if you don't do anything in the central stock, you still have 50 items left. And what if branch B want that 50 items of fan? They click order. You can see that if you don't control anything, branch B will see 50 items. And on tomorrow, when the inventory department will have to set up the queue of delivery, if they set up the delivery for branch A first, that means 30 of the fans go to branch A. Then for branch B, there will be the problem because they booked 50 fans yesterday, and right now we have just 20 fans left only. On the other way around, if the inventory department just set up the delivery for branch B first, 50 fans goes out. So when branch A representative would like to get those 30 fans that they ordered yesterday, there's no fans left in the stock already. So that's why you have to manage the e-commerce as well, because sometimes when you firstly run your e-commerce, it comes with one website only. But when the time goes by, some of the country may say that they don't allow this kind of website or a website of this name in their country. Then you have to set up the new name instead. The interface for country A and country B might be different, but on the back end, you need to control the stock of both branches. Okay, right. So apart from that one, we talk about the limitations of the current internet. First one, bandwidth limitation. In some countries, they still have like the problem with the bandwidth, especially for the peak hours. Peak hours, in different countries might be different, but majority peak hours are from 8 o'clock till, let me think, 8 p.m. Most commonly most of the country from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. they are like peak hours. So that means the bandwidth might be slowed down. But after that, now it's gradually changed, because you can see that we have like more contents on the internet, and some and I mean not some, many of the people, they don't watch TV anymore, but they just like watch the content from the internet by using maybe smart TV or Android TV, something like that, or they may just like use some devices in order to just like stream the live TV on TV, onto TV instead. So that means those kind of services use the bandwidth of the internet as well. So right now the time for the peak hours in some countries extend from 8 p.m. maybe up to 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. already. So you have to know that, okay, if it is a peak hours of the internet connection, when your customer would like to buy the products or services from your website or from your e-commerce, how can you do that? For example, if you say that, okay, you provide a streaming service, but unfortunately, if it is like 4K, let's say, if it is 4K resolution, and you can see that if it is the 4K resolution and it is the streaming video services that your customer can use, they may be able to use for the whole day. But in this case, you can see that for 4K streaming quality might not be accessible during the peak hours, because it needs a lot of bandwidth in order to just like stream the video. Then you may need to have like set up your website or your apps in order to be automatic adjust for the bandwidth. Sorry, to adjust the resolution of the screen by just like detecting for the bandwidth first. If you found that, okay, right now it's the peak hours and a lot of people use the internet, and the internet connection bandwidth is decreasing, you may have to just like reduce the bandwidth, or sorry, reduce the resolution. Or sometimes you may say that, okay, you can allow the users to store or to save the file locally, and then you just like do the buffering techniques in order to show the data from the buffer that you store, instead of having the real live streaming. So it might be just like 1 or 2 minutes buffering before they start. Or for example, you said that, okay, firstly, you may use a technique that the users just like begin watching with the lower resolution first, but you just like make it lower resolution, but it must be as high as you can while they are watching for the low resolution it might be just HD, something like that, like full HD, like 1080 resolution. While they are watching that, you just like store the 4K quality in the background. And once it's ready, for example, if it's ready for 5 minutes showing, then you just like start switching the resolution from full HD to be 4K. And at the same time, you just like still keeping the next minute of the 4K movie in the buffer. Something like thatนะครับ you have to just like know how to manage the bandwidth during peak hour service. And the quality of service limitation as well. This one we talk about the latency นะครับ for the quality of service นะครับ that you have to just like be careful. And then we have network architecture limitation นะครับ because there might be like identical requests นะครับ that will have been processed individually. Sometimes you may have like so many users who would like to access your service at the same time. Especially this one, normally it happens with like the e-commerce that requires a lot of like data transferring นะครับ and the last one is about the wired internet นะครับ some of the internet connection somewhere still need to have like copper and expensive fiber optic cables นะครับ while some of the users they use like the wireless one นะครับ it depends because I mean like some of the internet connection if in that country still use lots of copper cables นะครับ as a wired internet, so you have to think about the bandwidth นะครับ that you can transfer the data from one point to another point. And especially if it's streaming services, you need to know how to solve this problem as well. You may just like use the idea that I told you that you just like have some buffering parts and then just show the users with a lower resolution first until the buffer is ready. Then you just like switch to the high resolution while you are still keeping the streaming in terms of the buffer for the next minute. After that, they have like the Internet 2 project นะครับ the Internet 2 project they set up they have the consortium for 350 plus institution นะครับ these 350 plus institution they collaborate to each other to facilitate revolutionary internet technologies นะครับ the goals are that they would like to create leading edge and very high speed network for national research community นะครับ and they would like to enable revolutionary internet applications as well as distributed and collaborative computing environments for science, health, arts, and humanities initiatives. This is Internet 2 project. You may just like search more from the internet just in case that you would like to join this kind of project. You may be able to do this one as well, especially for revolutionary internet applications. You may just like propose them. Apart from that one, we talk about the first mile and the last mile. For the first mile and the last mile in here, we think about when we talk about the first mile or the last mile, we always think that okay, first mile means that okay, the sender side. The first mile means from the sender of the computer to the first mile of the internet connection. What is it? Is it the wireless one, or is it cable one? Is it the copper, or is it the fiber optic? And the last mile means that this one is analogy. The internet connection before it reached the destination. What is the media that they use? Wireless or wired? For the wired, copper or fiber optics or wireless. Then these are like first mile, last mile. For the Genie initiative, this is project name. It's proposed by NSF to develop new core functionality for the internet. And for the most significant private initiative, many of the organizations around the world, they try to have the fiber optic trunk line bandwidth for the first mile. That means they would like their organization in order to just like send the information to the internet as fast as they can by using the fiber optic trunk line bandwidth. For example, in MUICs as well, you can see that when we talk about the internet connection, we try to just like maximize the speed and bandwidth as much as we can in the building to in MUIC building to outside MUIC. That is our first mile. And for the last mile, wireless internet services to serve the customer, your applications or your e-commerce should be able to let the users to be able to access through the wireless ones. This is the last mile. So that means if you say that we talk about the wireless, but the wireless speed is not fast enough, and if your services of your e-commerce require a lot of bandwidth, then you have to justify that. How do you going to balance the last mile with the requirement of the bandwidth that your apps or your platform need to use? After that, we talk about fiber optics and bandwidth explosion in the first mile. For the first mile, it's a backbone internet services that carry bulk traffic over long distances. Fiber optic cable is the hundreds of glass strands that use light to transmit the data as we know before, because it can have like the faster speeds and greater bandwidth, thinner, lighter cables, less interference, and better data security. And there are substantial investment in fiber optic by telecommunication firm in the last decade. You can see that many countries around the world, they try to replace the copper cable with the fiber optics in their countries and among and between the countries as well. So this one, apart from just the internet connection, they try to integrate phone, broadband access, and video services together. So you can see that that's why right now when we talk about a smartphone, they integrate this kind of technologies together. And then for the last mile, this is the mobile internet access. This is the mobile internet access. For the last mile here, it's from internet backbone to the user side, to their computer, to their smartphone, and so on. There are two different basic types of wireless internet access. The first one is like the telephone base. Is for voice call, that is for mobile phones and smartphone. While we also have the wireless local area network or WLAN base. This is for data. And for the wireless internet access technology, for Wi-Fi, in terms of Wi-Fi, this one provides high-speed fixed broadband wireless LAN, wireless access point or hotspot, limited range but inexpensive. And this one, the example for for-profit Wi-Fi network like Boeing Go, AT&T Wi-Fi services. Apart from Wi-Fi, in some country they have WiMAX. WiMAX is a high-speed, medium range broadband wireless metropolitan network. This one, WiMAX, in most of the countries where they use WiMAX, these are like the internet connection where they cannot just like set the cables everywhere. For example, if in that countries there are just like users who just like live in the bush, live in the forest, that they cannot just like put the cables everywhere, then they may have the station to send and receive the data. And then for the each house, they have the station for WiMAX that has the antenna. The way that they use, they may just like use the mobile networks like SIM card to insert to the recipient's device in order to connect the data. So WiMAX, they use the 4G and 5G technologies to connect. And the last one is Bluetooth. This is personal connectivity between devices and to the internet as well. But anyway, if you use Bluetooth, it's low speed, short range connection. So that means if you just like decide to use Bluetooth as the mobile hotspot by using Bluetooth, even though it is personal, because you may not want other people from just like other tables to use or to see your wireless hotspot. But you have to know that the problem might happen because the speed that you transfer is like very low. So that means if your service that you provide to your customer requires the high speed, you have to inform your customer, because I mean like some of the customer may complain to your service that how come I cannot just like watch the 4K TV, 4K movie on my smartphone. Then you have to think first, if they use Bluetooth to connect นะครับ to the mobile hotspot it will be slow and then they cannot connect to 4K resolution for sure ครับ the next one นะครับ this is the Wi-Fi network that we may use like the desktop computer, smartphone, tablet computer, or laptop computer to connect to the wireless access point นะครับ apart from the broadband connection to the internet that we have at home, let's say in this one to connect to the internet we have various ways and the future internet นะครับ we think about the latency solution นะครับ that is differentiated quality of services the service and the bandwidth depends on the applications depend on the device that we use นะครับ in order to solve the problem because for example if you say that okay you would like to use your internet connection to connect to some voice service for example you want to listen to podcasts or you would like to listen to let's say Spotify you don't need to have like very high speed as same as the one that people use for their video streaming also the speed is I mean for the e-commerce for example retail store that just show the product catalog and then customer place an order you don't need to have like very high bandwidth นะครับ in your internet connection and then guaranteed service level over lower error rates นะครับ this one is the ability to purchase right to move data through network of guaranteed speed in return for higher fee for example นะครับ some of the businesses they may have like the lease line the what to say they say that you may have to pay 10,000 baht per 1 month นะครับ if you use the lease line but we guarantee that there will not be the downtime at all something like that นะครับ so this one is a guarantee service levels นะครับ that you have to pay more and by the way the costs are declining for every service that we have got นะครับ okay the next thing นะครับ is that we may just like integrate นะครับ the internet with the IoT นะครับ so for the IoT some of you take the course with the Janpiti already right these are objects connected via sensors or RFID to the internet and it's spearheaded by EU and China because right now you can see that there are lots of devices that we need to have just like some of the IoT thing installed in those devices นะครับ and actually you can see that China นะครับ is one of the country that just like think about this kind of thing นะครับ including the EU as well for anyone who just like study for the IoT subject already นะครับ okay can you tell me can you send me in the chat box who study for IoT course already can you please type in the chat I just want to know how many of you who study for IoT course already are there anyone here no not at all okay so I couple of years ago I play with like the IoT devices I try to just like install like the IoT things for controlling the temperature and the light something like that at that time I just curious I just I just borrow the board from university it's Arduino I think that some of you may have heard or may have played with it okay and the version that I purchased that I got was the version or the model of that Arduino is Uno so I thought why it's Uno so I just see that okay the origin of that board is from Italy so that means EU นะครับ they are just like spearhead for the IoT as well นะครับright so this kind of thing are the technologies that you have to know because in the future if you set up your own e-commerce นะครับ or e-business this kind of technologies you may have to use it for your project or for your what to say business as well นะครับ okay and for the web นะครับ these are the web that you have to know during 1989 to 1981 it was a time that the web was invented by Tim Berners-Lee at CERN นะครับ at CERN and then they have at that time just won't be long นะครับ everyone Okay, sorry นะครับ so in during 1989 to 91 นะครับ Tim Berners-Lee at CERN นะครับ in Switzerland at that time นะครับ the web was invented and they start having HTML HTTP web browser นะครับ and web server at that time for 1993 นะครับ the what to say the GUI web browser นะครับ was startedนะครับ at that time the name of the browser was Mosaic นะครับ by Andresen with his team at NCSA นะครับ the Mosaic at that time I used that one as well นะครับ very long time ago it ran on Windows Mac or Unix นะครับ okay at that time and in 1994 นะครับ another company called Netscape Communicationนะครับ this company invent the web browser called Netscape Navigator นะครับ it was the first commercial web browser and it was so popular นะครับ as popular as Google Chrome that we have right now นะครับ by Andresen he just like resigned from NCSA นะครับ because that one is the institution นะครับ that is the non-profit one it was research institution he and Jim Clark นะครับ set up a company called Netscape Communicator and use the know-how that they got from Mosaic to develop their own commercial web browser that's called Netscape Navigator when the time goes by นะครับ in 1995 Microsoft tried to invent their own web browser that is called Internet Explorer or IE at the very first year when Microsoft นะครับ invent their own web browser not many people use it because the interface the quality was poorer than Netscape Navigator a lot so Microsoft tried its hard in order to find a way นะครับ to make their customers นะครับ to use Internet Explorer they try to compete with the market นะครับ of the web browser from Netscape Navigator นะครับ but it's very hard at that time so Microsoft tried to make a decision that they should do something in order to make people use this software นะครับ they know that okay many people use Microsoft Windows right how can Microsoft Internet Explorer be used by Microsoft users นะครับ so they said that okay they integrated Internet Explorer นะครับ with the file system so that means if the users use Windows นะครับ in Windows mode นะครับ not in the command prompt they integrate that okay if users would like to see the list of the file นะครับ it will automatically open up Internet Explorer and Internet Explorer will just like make it GUI นะครับ to let the users to see or to browse the files as they want นะครับ so that means when you install Microsoft Windows on the computer it's automatically install Internet Explorer with in that one and also when you use the Internet Explorer นะครับ in order to see or to browse the file already you can also just like type the URL in order to go to anywhere นะครับ any website that you want by using that screen as well and when the time goes by people know that this is so tricky นะครับ they don't want to use Internet Explorer they still have to install Netscape Navigator anyway นะครับ so finally Microsoft tried to stop this kind of advertisement, this kind of marketing, by just like rename นะครับ the way that you used to browse the file นะครับ on Windows นะครับ as File Explorer instead of Internet Explorer, and they try to just like make the interface of the File Explorer and Internet Explorer to be different because they got like a lot of complaint from their customers นะครับ okay. Right. After that นะครับ we talk about the hypertext. The hypertext here are the formatted with the embedded link นะครับ that the links connect document to one another and to other objects such as sound, video, or animation files นะครับ and we use hypertext transfer protocol นะครับ and URL to locate resources on the web นะครับ in term of markup languages นะครับ we have HTML นะครับ as fixed set of predefined markup tags นะครับ used to format the text to control looks and feel of the web pages, and the latest one is the HTML5, and for the XML นะครับ that many of you have been using. It's designed to describe data and information, and we have tags used นะครับ that can be defined by users. So in the past, when we had the technology that we call EDI or electronic data interchange นะครับ we had the problem a lot because like we didn't have the standard of the data to be transferred from one place to another place. But right now นะครับ the problem is solved by using the XML instead, because you have you just like identify the data นะครับ together with the variable or the field in the XML template, and then just like get the data from those pages นะครับ okay. So in the next one, we say that is HTML5 นะครับ ready for prime time. What features of HTML are changing the way the website are built? Is HTML5 a disruptive technology, and if so, for whom? And are there any disadvantages in website and mobile app moving to an HTML platform? These are just like the questions that we have to think about it นะครับ and after that we talk about the web servers and web clients นะครับ for the web server software นะครับ this software enable computer to deliver web pages to clients on a network that request this service นะครับ that request this service by sending an HTTP request, like we can use Apache นะครับ for example, or Microsoft IIS as the web servers นะครับ and actually we have more than this. For the basic capabilities for web servers are for security services, FTP, search engine, and data capture. In terms of web server นะครับ it may refer to either web server software or the physical server นะครับ and apart from the web server, we may need to use specialized server นะครับ in conjunction with the basic web servers that we have got, that are to store your data นะครับ in terms of database server นะครับ at server and so on. In terms of web client นะครับ any of computing devices attached to the internet that is capable of making HTTP requests and displaying HTML pages. So right now, web clients can be found in like many form of devices, including your smartphone, your tablet นะครับ your PC or Mac, your smartwatches as well นะครับ for the web client. And for the web browsers นะครับ primary purpose to display web pages, Internet Explorer นะครับ in here นะครับ it's not true anymore. I think it's changed for a long time already, and but anyway this figures นะครับ from textbook didn't change much. Internet Explorer 54% of the market now is changed to be Google Chrome already, and then Firefox and Google Chrome, Apple Safari นะครับ everything is changed นะครับ right now it begins with the Google Chrome นะครับ followed by the Safari นะครับ Internet Explorer, and then Firefox anyway ครับ okay. Now นะครับ for the features of the internet and web นะครับ in here is the features on which the foundation of e-commerce are built นะครับ that we can do the emailing, instant messaging, search engines, online forums and chat, streaming media and cookies นะครับ Okay, these are just like explanation. I just go quick. Email นะครับ it's a series of protocol transferring message with text and attachment from one internet user to another, while IM นะครับ or the instant messaging display words type นะครับ on a computer almost instantly to the recipients, and they can respond immediately as well นะครับ search engine นะครับ that identify web pages that match the queries นะครับ from the search thing that users enter based on one or more techniques นะครับ and in this one they use the technique of keyword index and page ranking. They also serve as shopping tools, ads vehicle, and tool within e-commerce site นะครับ outside email นะครับ outside of email search engine are commonly used internet activity, but you can see that the trend is changed because right now นะครับ you can see that if I ask you that how many times you check the email per day, you might say that, oh, I check it once a week or once in every 2 weeks นะครับ but I think when the book was launched นะครับ at the time people still use email นะครับ a lot, but right now the email, I mean in terms of business, we are still using it anyway นะครับ this one we say that okay, for this one it said how Google works. User enter search query, Google Web will receive search requests and then estimate 1 to 2 million PC link together, connect to the internet to handle incoming queries and produce search results. Search requests will be sent to the index servers, which maintain data about the web pages that contain keywords matching with a query and location of those pages. Step number 4, page. Google will use Google Page Rank software to measure importance or popularity of each page by solving equation with millions of variables and terms to find the best pages for the query. And then small text summary I will prepare for each web page. And then result deliver to users 10 to a page. And after that, you can just like search more or click on other pages in the result that you receive from Google when they just like finish their page rank already. And the next thing is about the online forums and chats. Online forum is like a web board or message board, bulletin board, discussion group or forum. They also have the web application that enable internet users to communicate with one another, although not in the real time. Members visit online forum to check for new posts or new reply. And the online chat is similar to internet instant messenger, but for multiple users. And typically users log into chat room first before they start chatting. While the streaming media in here, it enables music, video, other large file to send to users in chunks. When they receive and play, file comes through uninterrupted. It allows users to begin playing media file before file is fully downloaded. And for cookies, it's small text file deposited by websites on users' computer to store information about users and access when users next visit website and can help personalize those website experience because I mean like the website we just like read from the cookies and see what users did or visited last time to personalize this visiting experience. But anyway, it can pose a privacy threat, as some of you asked me before about like the privacy if the website or the e-commerce can read for the cookies file. So that's why you can see that right now any website or any e-commerce that need to use the cookies, they have to inform the users first, and user can just like say okay or accept that using of cookie before they can just like start using that website. But if they are not okay with it, they can just like cancel. And for this one it's Web 2.0 features and services that we are still using it. We can just like integrate the Web 2.0 with the online social networks that for the social networks services that support communicating among networks of friends and peers. And we can also have blogs that is the personal web page of chronological entries like a diary นะครับ and RSS นะครับ are the programs that allow users to have digital content automatically sent to their computers over the internet, like the push message นะครับ something like that. Also we have podcasting นะครับ that is audio presentation stored as an audio file and available for download from the web นะครับ wikis นะครับ to allow users to add or edit content on web page นะครับ music and video services like online video viewing, digital video on demand นะครับ VoIP that you can have the internet telephony to talk over the internet using your voice, using internet to transmit voice communication นะครับ and we also have video conferencing, video chatting and telepresence นะครับ online software and web services like we have web apps, we have widgets and gadgets นะครับ to be used with your application or your platform นะครับ through the internet. Intelligent personal assistant นะครับ to interact with the users through voice command like Siri นะครับ or Google Assistant นะครับ features they use natural language conversational interface and they can have like situational awareness, interpret voice commands to interact with various web service นะครับ okay. and then we have mobile apps นะครับ use of mobile app has exploded. More than 60% of online shoppers they are mobile shoppers นะครับ increased use or purchasing from tablets นะครับ okay. and the platform iPhone นะครับ iPad they use iOS นะครับ or iPad OS นะครับ Android นะครับ and BlackBerry not many people use it now นะครับ and in the app marketplace we have Google Play, Apple App Store, RIMS, App World, Windows Phone Marketplace, and also right now we have Apps Gallery from Huawei as well นะครับ okay. and in this one นะครับ it's from the case in the book they summarize that okay they talk about like the app ecosystem นะครับ I'll talk about it next on. Okay, that is all for module number 3 นะครับ for the e-commerce infrastructure นะครับ the basic terms that we have to know about internet, web and mobile platform. All right, okay, then up to this point do you have any questions? So if you don't have any questions about this นะครับ okay, now I just have case study for you นะครับ to do with your team. In this one นะครับ we have case study number 3. Let me share the screen to you first. Okay. For number 3 นะครับ for number 3 this is the case study number 3. It just won't be long นะครับ. This case study, hang on, oh, I just put the wrong one. Case study number 3. Okay, here. Okay, just won't be long นะครับ takes time to download a bit. Okay, this is Akamai Technologies นะครับ whenever you would like to download the files from different places located in different locations around the world นะครับ this one I would like you and your team to do as usual นะครับ firstly you summarize the case first นะครับ and then you just like answer the case study questions ครับ there are 3 questions in here. This case is not long นะครับ it's just like 2.5 pages, sorry 3 pages นะครับ. Okay. So in this one please do it นะครับ until this coming Wednesday and we have the presentation on this case study ครับ for this case study นะครับ because I mean like we have like the case study almost every other time. Then in this case study, I will need to have like 2 group to present onlyนะครับ no need for every team to presentนะครับ just 2 groups only, because on Wednesday we also have like another short caseนะครับ as the opening case for module number 4 as well นะครับ okay so in this one นะครับ okay in this one I want นะครับ I want you to finish reading นะครับ and do case study number 3 and submit it before the next class นะครับ and then on the next class we will have the presentation for 2 teams ครับ okay then นะครับ everyone up to this point do you have any questions? Right, if you don't have any question นะครับ could you please turn on your camera ครับ everyone? The class lecture video นะครับ on last week is on YouTube already นะครับ I put the link on our canvas already นะครับ right okay then นะครับ everyone if you don't have any questions นะครับ that's all for today นะครับ you have a nice day and we see each other again on this coming Wednesday bye bye for now ครับ take care and stay safe นะครับ bye bye ครับ สุจินนาครับ hang onสุจินนา this time I don't deduct it as I don't deduct the score นะครับ but don't do it again next time please submit it on time นะครับโอเคครับ everyone see you on Wednesday นะครับ bye bye